Today we're talking about two budget-friendly iPads, the brand new 2019 iPad mini and the 2019 iPad. What's going on, guys? My name's David Tomic and welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking about two iPads and two iPads in particular. We're talking about the brand new 2019 iPad mini, which comes in a 7.9 retina display and costs about 599 Australian dollars, which for all you US viewers is about 400 US. We're also talking about the brand new 10.2 inch iPad. It's the original iPad, the one that only has the iPad name. It starts from about 529 Australian dollars, but this one here, being the cellular version, goes all the way up to $729 or about 500 US. This one isn't so budget friendly. The Wi-Fi only version compared to the iPad mini is pretty much price for price. If you're looking for a budget friendly iPad, chances are you're not really too interested about the specs. Yes, they're important, but they don't mean too much. It's really about how you're going to use your iPad and what you're planning on using the iPad for. If you are interested in the specs, spoiler alert, the iPad mini is a much better purchase. Overall, it has a better user-rated battery life, it has a much better screen resolution, and it also has a much better forward-facing camera. A quick little side-by-side test here with the two iPads on each side, the iPad mini and the iPad. The camera itself is pretty decent. You're not really going to be using the camera from the iPad as your main camera more so, but what you will notice is when you zoom in with the iPads, the actual camera quality is quite bad and the noise and grain is pretty heavy for both iPads. And it's no surprise at all that the iPad mini's forward-facing selfie camera produces a much better image. With a 7 megapixel camera versus a 1.2 megapixel camera, you are going to get a much better FaceTime call or just a single selfie photo if you're looking to utilize these features from the iPad. So like I've already said, chances are you're probably not looking at these iPads for their specs. You're looking at them to be purpose-built towards your lifestyle. So you could be a professional out there looking for a workhorse, or you could be an average consumer out there looking for just a media consumption beast. So let's take a look at the professional category first. If you're a professional that has to walk around all day, carry their iPad all day, take a ton of notes with the Apple Pencil, and really just have to lug this thing around all day, my personal recommendation would be the iPad mini for the sole purpose that it's so small, so light, so compact, and it doesn't feel like a burden to carry around. It's just over 200 grams and you don't really notice it when you pick it up, when you carry it around. So from a professional point of view, if you're somebody that's just out there writing notes, taking notes, and needs this thing to be pretty much their daily driver, the iPad mini is the best choice out of the two. But on the other hand, if you're somebody that sits in more formal meetings day to day, that needs a bit more screen real estate to look at images, to blow up images, to do things a little bit more on the creative side of things where you need more screen real estate, well, then the actual iPad, which doesn't have a second name to it, is probably the better choice for you guys. With the extra large screen real estate, it is a little bit more of a burden to carry around, and you definitely do feel the weight when you're comparing the two. It is pretty well balanced, so you don't notice it too much, but it is a burden to carry around all day. So if you're somebody that is going into meetings and you do need some sort of tech with you, but if you open up a full-fledged laptop, everybody's going to look at you a bit funny, then the iPad is probably the best one for you out of these two. Now, let's say you're not a professional. You're not looking to buy an iPad for business-related purposes or for your work life. You're looking to buy an iPad for your own personal joy. You're looking for the iPad to be a consumption beast, to consume all the YouTube videos out there, play a few games, and just to have a good time with your iPad. Well, in my personal opinion, I believe everybody's going to steer you to the bigger, larger 10.2 inch display. But I have a little bit of a hesitation to steering you towards this one because I don't find it as useful in a day-to-day life purpose as an iPad mini. Everybody's phones is quite large, but they're not that large to consume a whole bunch of content on. Whilst the iPad mini, in my personal opinion, is probably just the right size for consuming heaps of content. And if we're being completely honest with ourselves, we all probably watch content from about 20 centimeters away, so the extra screen real estate as a memory probably won't be too much of a difference. As an added bonus, the iPad mini also has a higher pixel per inch ratio at 326 pixels per inch versus the iPad's 246, I believe it is off the top of my head. So you're going to get a much clearer, much sharper display from the iPad mini with the added benefit of the True Tone display. So if you're looking for a good media consumption device, then the iPad mini is definitely my recommendation out of these two, even though most people will probably steer you to the 10.2 inch display for the sole purposes of having a bigger display. And that's all from me, guys. Remember, don't go out and buy an iPad for the sole purposes of specs. If one is better than the other, or you're gonna go out and pay $1.50 for the top of the range Pro, but all you're really looking at using it for is maybe some cooking recipes or watching a YouTube video here and there, it's gonna end up in your drawer or on eBay like the rest of the iPads you've probably owned in the past. So take a step back, think about what you're actually gonna use this iPad for, and then make your decision based on your personal needs, not anybody else's and not the specs themselves. Thanks so much for watching, guys. If you haven't already, make sure you smash that subscribe button, 2019 style, almost 2020 style, and as always, I'll see you next Monday.